Jon Huntsman got in a lot of trouble earlier in the campaign for being in favor of science. If you're a Republican and you're in favor of science, you'll be where Jon Huntsman is, polling at 2% in almost every single poll. So since that's not working out well for him, he decided to flip-flop on this. And recently at a conservative gathering, he said about global warming and climate change, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, nor am I a physicist, but I would defer to science, and I would say the scientific community owes us more. Meaning like, did they prove their case? Did they not prove their case? I don't know. They owe us more information. Damn it, Jim. I'm not a physicist. I'm a politician. Okay, seems like a flip-flop. Well, it's going to get a little clearer. He says, this uncertainty basically might debilitate economic recovery if we actually do something about climate change in this country or hobble job creators. Well, we wouldn't want to hobble job creators, would we, Mr. Huntsman? In other words, the job creators, i.e. the rich people in this country who give me my campaign donations, told me they would not like to be hobbled by having to deal with climate change, so I'm no longer on board for climate change, okay? And then if that wasn't clear enough, his campaign spokesperson came out and said that, oh, of course, this is, quote, consistent with his view that he trusts the body of science on global warming, but there's not global consensus, and we can't disarm or hurt our job creators since this is a global problem. We can't disarm or hurt our job creators. In other words, oops, we just found out that the Republican Party is run by rich people, and that's our job to serve them. So all that stuff we said about climate change before, forget it, skip it, we didn't mean it. Now, as soon as he did this, of course, everybody went crazy saying, oh my God, that's the most obvious flip-flop. You're almost going to break Mitt Romney's record on flip-flops if you do it this obviously. So this morning he comes out and flip-flops again. That's awesome. Quote, let me be very clear on this. There is no change. I put my faith and trust in science. So you have 99 out of 100 climate scientists who have come out and talked about climate change in certain terms, what is responsible for it. I'm on the side of science on this one. So now he's back on the other side. He says, okay, did I say that I had this giant flip-flop the other day when I was trying to cater to conservatives at that meeting? No. I meant, yes, science. I don't know what I was thinking there. Had a Slurpee before, kind of a brain freeze, and no, I'm back on the camp of science now. Dude, you're sad, okay? And you know, it's really disappointing because Huntsman does have some moderate views and actually did a pretty decent job in Utah, right? And I thought he was being smart. I thought he was running here to get his name recognition up. There's no way in the world a moderate Republican can win in 2012. And then I thought he was going to say, look, I stayed consistent, I was principled, I didn't flip-flop. And then when the Republican Party is in absolute shambles in 2016, which it absolutely will be, then you come in and you go, see, I told you, I was the principled guy. I was the guy that was moderate from all along. I'm the guy you need. I'm the guy who had the good record. But now you're going to screw that up by, do you think you could win? You're at 2%. There's a bunch of, the voters are like frothing at the mouth when Rick Perry talks about executing people. They're like, yes, do it again. When Ron Paul talks about somebody who died because they didn't have health care coverage, people applaud. You think you're going to win in that race? You're not going to win there. Are you crazy? I gave you too much credit thinking that you had a smart strategy for the future for 2016. It turns out you thought you were going to win as a moderate? Dude, first of all, the so-called moderate is Mitt Romney, who's been up in these polls in number 1 or number 2 position all along. What are you going to do, out-moderate him? In a Republican primary. And second of all, he's Mormon, so he's got a Mormon problem. You're also Mormon. What kind of strategy is this? No, if you're campaigning for 2016, it makes sense. But you're going to ruin it if you go in there and go, oh, okay, no, I'm just as much of a barbarian as any of these guys. Yeah, science, I spit on science. Math, I crush math on a daily basis. I hate math. Okay, if you do that, you're not going to win anyway, and you're going to be just one of those same old fools on the Republican side, and you're going to hurt your chances in 2016, which I guess I'm happy about because apparently you don't have principles.